This is just a quick tutorial slash overview of how to create smooth transitions between musical elements in FMOD Studio. To set the scene, our main theme is inside an event sound which is looped by either adding a loop region or by clicking the loop button. Markers are placed at the start of each section and named accordingly. Transition regions are then added to tell FMOD where you want the playhead to potentially jump to from the current region. Then a parameter for background music state is added to control where the playhead is supposed to be. And then logic is added to the transition region to tell the playhead when to jump to that part of the timeline. I like to add the parameter value into the name so that I can easily check that the parameters are pointing to the right spots. So the main theme can go into either the win, loss, or bonus level regions that loop until FMOD tells it to do otherwise. In-game, when the player presses restart, the game will go back to the first theme. So to make our transitions between regions flow smoothly, we open up our event sounds and add an ADSR modulator to our event's volume by either clicking on the master track or clicking the timeline tab at the top, which gives you a bunch of extra items to play with. With the modulator now applied, you can now set your fade out length for the clip to keep playing after the parent timeline's playhead has left that region. I've set this one to be 4.7 seconds with an attack of 0. Now you can see that when we transition from one BGM state to another, the music will fade out, giving it a nice smooth transition. The second way of doing it is a little bit more complicated because we're using sub-parameters that affect deeper levels of nested audio. Our timelines all have ADSR in them. The intro has a nice slow attack to it as well, and a really long release as it's not too intrusive on the more dominant tracks. The main theme is quantized with the tempo set up to match the track, and the logic set to only jump when triggered by the BGM state parameter in the transition region's deck area. We get even more complicated when we jump into the boss theme event sound, where we've set up a reverb return track and a send from Audio 1's timeline, and an automation of how much reverb is active according to the BGM state parameter, which is a sub-parameter of the master events timeline. A really cool thing about parameters in FMOD is that you can call a nested events parameter the same name as a parameter inside the parent, and it will be affected by changes to the master parameter as well. A third way of doing it would be simply to add reverb onto your track in the main timeline. And when the playhead exits that transition region, the reverb will just continue on depending on the length of the reverb time. It's kind of a lazy way of going about it, but it can work fine in certain circumstances. You could also automate the reverb to be more prominent when the playhead leaves the region as well, depending on what you're going for. So as you can see, the way to go about achieving a desired result is about as diverse as the ideas themselves. The more you dig into FMOD and work out little ways of making one thing affect another, the more a little light bulb goes off in your head and you find yourself saying, what if I try this? There are a bunch of other ways you can achieve similar results depending on your situation, which I haven't touched on, including timeline crossfades and transition timelines themselves. But just check out all the official FMOD tutorials for info on them and a whole range of other tricks and tips. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this has been some help. I may do some more tutorials and go into a bit more depth in how to go about things, but I'll see how this video turns out. Thanks a lot. Bye.